So in Ideas and Honors of Thinking About Thanksgiving, let's talk about space and the cosmos. I just finished my bookless entry on Cosmos by Carl Sagan. I want to share some of my thoughts on gratitude and the cosmos and the crazy statistics and the fact that we're actually alive, which is absolutely insane. The first point I have to make is that science rules. Science is expanding our understanding of the universe and realizing that we're all really connected. We are kind of bound to it. The Earth is like a shell on a beach. It's so precious and so important. And to take that into consideration, we can feel pretty insignificant when it comes to the grand scheme that we're this pebble on a beach, but that makes us even more precious and rare. So that's something that a science mindset provides to us. The universe created a tool with which to know itself, to quote Hank Green, and that's really what the cosmos has done with evolution. Enabled us to evolve and understand ourselves. That's just, if that doesn't excite you, I don't know what will. I hope it excites you. The other fascinating thing about this is the Library of Alexandria. There was a library that was built 7 centuries. It was destroyed after its construction by some Babylonian priest, but it had so much record and so much history. The Ionians were ones by the Aegean Sea that they came up with the atom idea. Everything's made of atoms, and they actually were the ones that were isolated and able to evolve and learn to do science so efficiently away from everybody else. Their truths weren't discovered for thousands of years. 2,000 years for truths to be rediscovered. Evolution is a U-curve. It talks about in this book, the ability for us to be alive, to evolve, is you can't be too chaotic and you can't be too stagnant. Evolution's a fact. Nature acts on a man's organization. A man can only organize, and then nature takes into that organization into consideration. We really shouldn't question our curiosity to want to learn and know more. Ken Robinson says that curiosity is the engine of human achievement, the engine of understanding and learning and growing. Kepler's laws of motion. Is life a cosmic inevitability? It might be. It might be inevitable that life forms eventually. I mean, it took us a long time to somehow just split cells to become multicellular organisms, but honestly, might be an inevitability with the right conditions. It's really, really fascinating. You learn the history of certain people and how they're able to cause the spark of science, how they're able to ignite things back alive. Kepler's God was the creative power of the cosmos. He caused it. His laws, Kepler's laws of motion. He's the one that believed one day we would be sailing in the stars just as we sailed in ships to discover continents. Even Isaac Newton purchased a book on astrology out of curiosity, which made him run into trigonometry. He was like, what's trigonometry? I don't understand trigonometry. Then he kept going and he invented differential or integral calculus. People would ask him like, how do you do all this? And he just, I thought upon it. I thought upon it. There are a lot of great themes in this book, but the crazy part about it is the statistics on how we're alive. 99% of the cosmos' matter that formed our solar system was sucked into the sun, and the other percentage of that matter was the Earth, which led to everything else. The fact that dinosaurs were destroyed by a supernova or a comet or whatever it was that killed them enabled us to climb down from the trees to brave it out and actually grow and evolve. Intellectual capacity has no guarantee against being dead wrong. You could know everything in the world and still have the wrong mindset and be dead wrong. It's a scary thought, but there are people in history that just believe that this was right until they questioned their assumptions, or until someone that stood out questioned their assumptions and found out that it wasn't the truth. There was a ridiculous time that lapsed, thousands of years that lapsed between them until they rediscovered the truth. It was right in front of them in like 350 BC or somewhere around there, and they didn't understand and realize it until thousands of years later. It's just fascinating how we think we know things, but until we question ourselves about our assumptions, our common assumptions, what we take for granted, we don't actually learn what the truth is. The Pythagoreans, when they discovered the square root of 2, and they discovered that their knowledge of the spheres, the geometric spheres, and that it wasn't perfect, the dodecahedron, they actually suppressed the knowledge of it. They were so frightened of people knowing that they suppressed the knowledge, the truth, in order to stay perfectly right in the eyes of other people. Why did they do that? the part about our eyes only seeing so little, we not only have to worry about how our brain analyzes the world around us and how our eyes only see what we see, we also have to worry about the assumptions that our minds make about what we see, and then how our brain maps the world into what we see. There are two layers of understanding here. Machines have evolutions. Machines evolve. We've seen technology evolve. There are microbes on Mars. There are. Voyager 2 statistics. Voyager 2, hundreds of years ago when we were using ships to go from continent to continent, it takes Voyager 2 the same amount of time to get from, like, our Earth to Jupiter, the same time it took Voyagers to get from continent to continent. It takes so little. The discovery and increase of truth stimulates effort in science. We trace our intellectual development and our embryonic development, our development as a species. It's called recapitulation. We go like, well, once we were cavemen. This is basically you learning history, right? Biology. Biology is actually kind of like history, more than it's like physics, because in order to understand biology, you have to understand what came before us, just as history, you have to understand what history came before us to understand where we are, how we got where we are today. It's just amazing. I'm not explaining this in a very, very perfect way. The Ionians believed that chaos mated with Night, who was a goddess, to produce men and the gods. And that was the whole idea where cosmos came from, which is the opposite of chaos, which means harmony. Harmony in the universe. Thales brought ideology from Egypt about science, and this guy named Axander used sticks to determine the length of the seasons because he realized that the shadows from them were actually different on different parts of the planet. When he measured them, he was able to calculate the circumference of the Earth. He proposed that life came from mud. He believed in the Milky Way of stars. What a loss that all of this knowledge that was captured by the Ionians and in the actual Library of Alexandria, full of a record 10 times, what is it? Okay, there was a period, a record dating back from like the creation of life to the flood, a period of 432,000 years that was in this Library of Alexandria on papyrus scrolls. They didn't have books, they had like scrolls they wound up and stuck in walls. All of this was lost. It was 100 times larger than the Old Testament. The mercantile tradition led to Ionian science. It was very, very productive in terms of science. But the problem here, which I find very fascinating, which we bring back that stupid U-curve into the situation here, that philosophy, it actually created slavery because there were so many people dedicated to the mercantile tradition that what they did was it brought the people that were rich at the time up to the top where they wouldn't do the science, they would only be rich and not get their hands dirty anymore, and then the merchants had to focus on constructing giant monuments for the sake of whatever gods or whatever they were. It actually led to slavery. It undermined economic motive to develop technology. It took them away from that free thinking and caused them to focus on doing things for the gods and building giant structures. We see it in history. We see these leftover degraded structures from history. Amazing. Amazing structures in terms of the time that it took to build them compared to what it is now. Another quote in here that I really enjoy that Carl Sagan says is, "We make our world significant by the courage of our questions and the depthfulness of our answers." Questions, difficult questions aren't disrespectful. They're just very difficult to answer. And the depth of our answers shows us the understanding we have of the universe, of what's true. We think well, but we don't think very fast. Humans have the statistics in here about the ridiculousness, the 100 billion neurons. It's crazy. We think really, really well as humans, but we don't think very, very fast. Like our neurons in our brain, there's trillions of connections, which is why we're intelligent, but our pace of thinking is not very fast. We take a long time, like the Oregon Trail speed, to be able to think about things. And then all these other terms, like the fact that we all came from supernovas. We all came from the inside of exploding supernova and stars where the building blocks of life are formed, and then they just fly onto a planet and gets bombarded with all these molecules and everything, and then we just form over time. All life on Earth is from sunlight. Falling into a black hole spaghettification, the intersection of galaxies like Andromeda and Milky Way and however many billion years it'll take for them, they don't actually crash into each other. They like dance because of there's so much space between all the planets and everything that it all just kind of swirls in this billion-year-long dance between the galaxies. Quasars, the powerfulness of quasars and how ridiculous it is that we can see the existence of things in the past in billions of years by just looking at the sky. The time machine is literally a sky. You're not seeing what's now. This video is in the past. You're not seeing this now. You're seeing something in the past. Well, you're looking into the past when you look into the sky, because light can only travel so fast. I don't know why people don't read more. Dark matter. The rebirth and birth of the cosmos, if it's shaped like a sphere and the light bounces inside of it, right? If you want to know what the black hole looks like, what it looks like inside, just look around you. Or the cosmos is shaped in a saddle and there's a fourth dimension we can't get to because the center of the universe is everywhere. The Big Bang appears to have happened in every section of the universe. From our perspective, everything's moving away from us. The idea that we could probably go into a fourth dimension by going through a black hole where the laws of nature may completely be reversed, and parallel universes, universes and universes and universes, or the idea that you could travel to a distant place at the speed of light, or close, not the speed of light, close to it, and you would appear to be not moving at all because the people watching you travel would only see you stuck in time, but from your perspective, time would be going by at a normal rate, except that you would see the entire history of the cosmos when you fell into a black hole, because I'm at a loss. There's a funny statistic, or a funny saying in the book that says you can tell the seriousness of a species, or like our commitment to our race, by looking at how we support our libraries. 10 million years is only 5% of an entire galactic rotation. A galactic rotation of the entire galaxy. 10 million years is 5% of a galactic rotation. The sun's internal temp is 40 million degrees. To a star, we're pretty much mayfly. We're tiny little flickers of light on this rock hurtling through space at a ridiculous speed. Aristarchus says something really, really cool too. Nothing enjoys a privileged position in nature. As much as we like to think, our intelligence may save us or may destroy us, depending on how we use it for the sake of, right, nuclear weapons, whether we use that power to enhance science or that power to self-destruct. Hopefully not. That nature doesn't judge. It doesn't. 1,000 Earths can fit in Jupiter. Cosmids are kind of like the reproductive cells of the cosmos. Your chances of landing near or on a planet in the entire vacuum of the universe, which they've calculated, even though we don't know how big the universe actually is, we can see to the edge of the radiation left over from the Big Bang, though. 1 in 10 to the 33rd power is your chances of landing on or near a planet. There are 10 to the 11th galaxies. There are more stars in the universe than grains of sand on the planet. So that's my crazy rant. There's a lot more to cover than that. If you want to watch Cosmos, I would read Cosmos by Carl Sagan, and then I would watch the old Cosmos, which I went to, and then I would watch the new Cosmos, A Space-Time Odyssey, hosted by Neil deGrasse Tyson again. Because this stuff, guys, curiosity is the engine to achievement, and that's just how you learn. It's absolutely incredible how much you can fit in your noggin. But I'm interested to know what you think about this. It can all make us seem really insignificant, but the same distance that others can fear is the same distance that keeps us safe. But we're really precious. We don't realize how precious we are. There's another funny thought in that book that talks about the idea of other civilizations coming to our planet and looking at us and going, do we really want to talk to these people? This is absolutely insane. Look at what they're doing with these nuclear weapons. Are they going to destroy themselves? Do we even want to talk to them? Even if they're 1% more intelligent than us, even if they can hold 10 to whatever power more bits of information in their noggin, or think faster than we can, or think more well than we can, the chances of us finding a species like us in space is close to 0. They're either going to be really, really primitive, not even close to us, or they're going to be so intelligent that they probably consider us gnats, or they probably consider us apes, with us running around trading pieces of paper with little to no resource value with each other. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's no fun thinking about this alone, so what do you think? Let me know in my diaphragm what you think about all this. It's insane. I encourage you to read the book. I encourage you to keep reading. Don't stop reading. Don't stop learning. Yeah, that's my thought on Cosmos. So while you're chowing down on your Thanksgiving deliciousness, think about some of these statistics. Think about the fact that you're alive, and think about that your sense of importance can not only come from what you do and who you help, but the fact that you can think about yourself. You can think about the universe and about stardust, being stardust. That's where true gratitude comes from. Just the ability to contemplate all of that and to realize that you can create yourself and you can learn this and do this and understand this, and yeah. That makes me feel alive. I don't know about you, but it does. That honestly keeps me feeling alive. It's cool. It's freaking awesome. Oh, it's so awesome. I can see why people write stuff out when they do videos, because I just ranted. It all started with a spark of curiosity, though, to get somebody to question themselves about what is that? What are those things? Why do you look up at the night sky? What keeps you looking up? What keeps you searching? What keeps you curious? Keep creating an awesome, intelligent, conscious self. Don't forget to be awesome. Be a citizen of the cosmos. Be a cosmopolitan. As weird as that sounds. I think there's a drink. Just be a person that wants to know stuff. This is cool. Sic parvis magna. Great things at small beginnings.